Do you like living in your home?
Gosh. I could be homeless, so it could be worse. But this is not a house designed for a person in a wheelchair. So I make do, which I think is a bit unfair sometimes because I had to make do in the last place for 8 years as well. So there are things that are problematic and that feed my anxiety, like if the lifts break down, the noise that comes from other flats. It's not ideal for somebody with PTSD. So if I'm truly happy, no. I'm happy with what I've created and I'm happy with my dog and I'm happy with the lighting and stuff, but it isn't ideal. And I know that sounds a bit spoiled because I'm not on the streets and I'm not hungry, but I have been making do for over a decade now and it seems a bit unfair considering my condition is a degenerative disease that's incurable. It's only going to get worse. So it's always making do. And I don't feel I'm entitled to an ideal lifestyle, but I'm not looking for ideal. I'm just looking to be able to move around my house in my chair, and I can't do that. So it's not the best.
Okay.
Honestly.
How long have you been living here?
7 months. 8 months, yeah, 8 months. Since November, so I guess almost 10 months maybe. Yeah, 10 months.
Okay. And how was that transition from your previous flat to this flat?
Horrific. I was given 4 days to pack and a 4-hour slot to move things in. And I had no vehicle to do it with and no support. So I had to leave a lot of stuff in the old place, like my furniture. Had to downsize a lot of things like the wardrobe, clothes, the cooker. I had to leave a lot. I was like, I just couldn't bring it. And they were very strict about you not parking outside on the main road. So it was difficult to bring stuff in. And with my disability, a lot of stuff was just carried on my wheelchair in boxes. So it was, I think, 105 visits from the downstairs car parked up here to bring stuff in. And then I bought a lot of stuff when I came in, like the shelves behind you, the shelving in the kitchen, things to make it possible to use because I couldn't reach the cupboards up high, so I needed to make it adaptable for me, which the council said, wait till you move in and we'll get OT to visit and they'll make it adaptable. 7 months down the line, they still haven't done it, so I couldn't reach the cords for the blinds, so I bought motorised blinds, getting up and down all the time for the lights, so I made them voice activated. The shelves in the cupboards couldn't be reached, so I bought shelving below. There's no room for a cooker, so I bought a Ninja and a hob. So, like everything, it's not horrific because I've made do, but that's the truth, I've made do. And if it wasn't for me making these changes, I wouldn't be able to open my blinds regularly. It would hurt to do. They're very stiff, actually, and they're very short. And they said it's because of the children hanging themselves, so they didn't want to make them long, so that's why they couldn't be reached. Couldn't look into the bathroom mirror, so I got a chair that can be raised up, because you can't put the wheelchair in the bathroom and then out again. So I got a polyprop chair so I could actually see myself in the mirror and reach the sink. So I've done things personally to make it workable, but considering it was offered to me as a medical transfer from a flat that was unsuitable for a disabled person to move into a flat that was, it isn't. There's no way, shape or form, especially with the doors, they're huge and they only open outwards. So if you're in a chair, you've got to hold the handle, operate the joystick and push the chair forward. You saw that I got it to a knack on the front door, but that takes a lot of practice to get it like that. Otherwise, it's slamming behind you or it's very hard to push. There's a resistance spring on there, so it does close. That makes it much harder if I'm not using a wheelchair, I'm using a cane. I literally have to lean against it with my cane to open it up. And I have a dog at the same time or shopping, so it's never ideal. But I'm very lucky that we have this system and that I'm in a home and I'm not freezing cold and I'm not hungry and I'm not homeless. So I'm appreciative, but I get told by so many people it should be a bit more than just being appreciative. It should be suitable.
And what was the process of getting your home allocated? Did they mention that it was going to be wheelchair accessible?
Yeah, they absolutely said that in a letter. You are moving to a disability designed flat. And then I came here and I said, this is not, who checked that it was for a disabled person, not somebody in a wheelchair? Because when they came in, I said, would you lower yourself to my height, please, in the bathroom? And she did. And I went, what can you see in the mirror? And she went, nothing. I went, neither can I. I went, do you want to come to my height and try and reach into the sink? And she went, I can't. I went, neither can I. She was like, oh gosh, like, you said this was a disabled flat, and I'm assuming you got this from the council by saying we've created a couple of flats that are for disabled people, but they're not. They haven't been tested by somebody in a wheelchair, so it's just a word on a piece of paper, but it isn't the truth.
Yeah. And can you please talk me through a typical day for you?
Yeah, I get up, I brush my teeth. If I'm feeling, there's a thing when you're disabled called spoons, and they're basically like energy points, and you have like 10 a day. And I have to work out what I'm doing in the day and what I can afford to do. In the old days, before I moved here, it was showering. Showering would use 3 or 4 spoons because it's getting out of a wheelchair, into a polyprop chair, lots of moving around, then drying yourself, getting back into the chair. By the time I got back into my bedroom, I'd be sweating again, just from how vigorous it was to even just do that. Now it's sliding into a bath, so it's less spoons. So I can have a bath and I can make a drink, but I can't hoover today because I'm going to be driving and going to a court, and that's emotionally stressful, which takes it out on my physical well-being as well. So I just kind of manage what I've got to be done during the day. Like if it's a Veterans Breakfast Club, that's going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning, which means I need to leave here about 8. So getting up isn't a problem, but there's going to be going downstairs, getting in the van, going into the breakfast club, sitting there with all these different people, which is anxious, and there's anxiety there. Going up to from the hot plate to get the food, and I'm like, that's going to take a couple of spoons. So I've got anything else planned for the day, and if I haven't, I'll go, oh, it's okay, then I can have a bath and I can make something to eat, and I can do that. But if like today, you're going to be here, which isn't stressful, but then I've got my therapist at 11:30, and then I've got the court at 3. By the end of the day, I know I will be absolutely emotionally and physically exhausted, so I'll probably have a bath much later on tonight, just to kind of calm me down, decompress, as well as the hygiene side of getting me clean, but not much else planned.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just really managing how much energy I have and how I feel, because it does change from day to day. Some days I have my cane and I don't even feel disabled, but for the last 3 days I've had horrific stomach cramps, and I've had back spasms since last Wednesday when I did the food bank. So I've been in about level 7 out of 10 pain for the last week. So it's really limiting of what I wanted to do. So when I thought about the road trip, I was going, I don't think it's sensible to be in the middle of nowhere in a van with your dog when you're in a really bad way, because the good thing about my vehicle is if my legs aren't working, it's levers controlled. But I still don't want to be that vulnerable in the middle of nowhere. So that's how I manage my day, really, with my physical expectations and what I can achieve.
And you mentioned in the survey that you spend usually 24 hours in your flat.
Yeah.
Does this also sometimes change?
Yeah, I've tried to, since the Veterans Trauma Network, they've been giving me social events to go to get me out of the house. So every Wednesday I did the food bank for 4 hours, from 10 until 2, where I just pretty much pack food up from all these stacks and stacks of loose food so they can go into hampers. Every Friday and every Saturday, not on the same weekend, so every 3rd Friday of the month and every 2nd Saturday of the month and every 4th Saturday of the month, I drive to a Veterans Breakfast Club where I have breakfast for £5, which you can't get in London, and I have a full cooked breakfast with about 25 other veterans, where we don't talk about war, we don't talk about our problems, we just talk about the caravan trip they've been on, or their wife, or their grandkids are coming to visit from Australia, and it gets me out and makes me less removed from society, because I was finding myself maybe overdosing on TikTok and seeing kids swearing and stealing people's dogs for a joke and stuff, and going, I'm just not part of that world anymore. It's just got too angry, too spoilt. So I felt very removed from it, and I feel safe in here. And I've got lots of things to entertain me, and my cupboards are full, so I never go hungry. There's food in here for like 3 years. There's 1,000 DVDs behind you, so I feel quite safe in my little space here, my own little reality, my little bubble.
Is the living room the room you use the most?
Yeah, only because of bed hygiene. It's a thing with disabled people, is get out of your bed, make your bed, and go into another room. Even if you just lie in that room and then you come in this room and lie down, it's the psychological move of getting out of the place where you sleep, and then it makes sleep more of a routine. When you go into the bedroom, you go in there to sleep, not to fester. So it's important for me to come in, and this is where a lot of the good stuff is. The entertainment, and Chewie's got a lot more room to run around in the bedroom. He can really play on the bed, and he does, and there's room for him to do it. But here he has the balcony, and he has the kitchen, the living room, and so it's for him as well.
Is here where you also eat your meals?
Yeah, on this table here that I drag around. So I'm not leaning forward on the table, it's not sat on my lap, it's quite a sort of deliberate thing I do. I pull it round, and it's really easy to operate as well. I just pull it round, it has a seat on it as well, so it can be done. Lift it up, and then I feel, excuse me, it's not as clean as it should be, and then I feel like I'm, not just having cereal or having a sandwich. I make meals, so I'm not, starving myself of any nutrients. I've got friends who aren't disabled, but they're single and they eat so poorly. And I'm like, no, this is important for my health and my well-being to make sure I've got food inside me, especially if I'm taking strong medication like morphine, diazepam, amitriptyline. On an empty stomach, you'll just be throwing up bile. They're really aggressive to the tummy. But I need to make sure. And that's also a part of filling the day, making breakfast, making lunch, making dinner.
And so you mentioned that your flat didn't come with a hob.
Didn't come with anything at all.
How have you had to adapt your kitchen to fit your needs?
Yeah, I got the Ninja, which I heard lots about, and I cooked a whole Christmas dinner for 2 people last year, and I was like, wow, this can really do stuff. And I've got these 2 hobs, so if I want something fried or something sautéed or something maybe boiled, I can do it in that. But you can pretty much do everything in that. But I got the wrong one. I bought the best one there was on the market, but it's just a tower. I've now seen one today which has got 2 drawers, so you can have things separately. So chips in one and chicken in another, and do it that way. Rather than in that thing, you have to have the chips on the bottom, the chicken on the top, and then the chicken fat drips on the chips, and the chips come out soggy. And so I'm buying another Ninja. So I have the tower Ninja for like a whole chicken, the drawer Ninja for like chips and maybe some roasted vegetables, and the grill for like a sauce or whatever. So then I think it's complete, and it's a lot less cumbersome and a lot easier to clean than an oven. And there's no gas in this building anyway, so it'd have to be electric. And I just don't know where you'd put it in there.
Is that something you knew before moving in?
No.
Okay.
I thought it was fully adapted, and that the shelves would be like about a foot lower. There wouldn't be cupboards. That I can guarantee you, even able-bodied Sathan, if he went to that far cupboard on the right-hand side and I say reach into the back there with your arm, he will not be able to reach the back of it. And he's able-bodied. So how am I supposed to reach it from 3 feet below? Impossible. And then the OT said, oh, we're going to do the kitchen. I was like, Craig, what are you going to do? We're just going to remove all the cupboards. And so then I'm left with 4. He's like, what else do you want us to do? And I was going, well, I've heard of a friend who's got a platform, and she goes in her kitchen, presses a button, and the whole floor raises up, so she can get to all the different levels. I mean, superb, but where's the adaptation? How is it disabled if I can't reach these cupboards? I now put things in there, like apocalypse stuff, like things I'm never going to use, but they're there if there's an emergency, like dry oats and cans of food and cleaning materials and things like that. And if I want to, then I kneel on that office chair, or I lift myself up and sit on the work surface. So that can't be something I do daily, so that's why the daily stuff is lower down, like plates and cups, and most of the fresh stuff is kept in the fridge.
So do you think you use your home how it was intended for?
How it's intended, from their perspective, maybe from how it was intended, but from what I was sold and what I was told, not at all, no.
And so you mentioned a few things that you would want in a home. For example, just the basic things of being able to move around in your wheelchair. What other aspects are you looking for in a home?
I think with limited mobility, things that I really would like are the grab rails, are hoists, are things that get me out of the chair when I can't use the chair, to move around more but still give me that security to be able to grab something if I'm going to fall, which is a symptom of my condition, that my legs just disappear from underneath me and I drop. That's why I've put the carpet in here on this rug, mainly to cover the fact they gave me a really light coloured carpet, which is hard to keep clean, but extra cushioning if I fall, because there's no grab rails at the moment. So I'll have to buy those myself. They're £27 each, and I need about 8 or 9. So they're coming, but it would be nice to be, in an ideal world, knowing how worse it's going to get and how bad it's been before and post-surgery, it would be nice to be able to be sat here in a chair and then just go there and make you a drink, and then go there and go to the bathroom and go to... But that's just impossible in this house. It would be nice to show you in this survey how a person in a wheelchair uses an adapted flat, but I'm a person in a wheelchair that's got an able-bodied flat, so I couldn't show you how it's supposed to be properly used.
Yeah. And other than kind of your hub and not being able to move around freely, what is something that you wish you would have known before moving here?
The noise. That it's basically a car park with prefab walls, and that I would be able to hear the lift saying second floor in my bed at 11:30 at night. My neighbour across the road slamming the door every time she leaves. So does her son, so does her husband. So that's about 9 times a day I get bang. And it's so loud, Chewy has weed himself twice in the kitchen because it scared him. There are children screaming outside and playing in an area which is not a play area, so it's right below our balconies, but we have a garden which is on the other side of the building where they could play. Or they play in the hallways running up and down. One Christmas I came out there and there was a family of like 6 playing football on our hallway. And I was like, you cannot do this. Well, we've got a grandparent visiting. I went, I don't care if they're all family visiting. This is a communal area and it's right outside people's houses. And if you look at all the doors, they've got a gap all the way around, so they're not insulated, so you hear everything. I was like, you need to get back in your house or I'm going to make a formal complaint about you. And they did, and they have, and they've not done it since. But the first floor hasn't got the message. And you hear it all the way through the whole building. So yeah, the noise is a massive thing I would have loved to have known about that. This building is not soundproof.
What's something that you like about your home?
The way I've made it look. The lighting, the movie memorabilia. I realised I'm a kid, there's a little boy inside my body that has got the things around me that my parents would just never have given me, like sweets and toys and things. But they're not toys to be played with, they're collectibles and stuff. And so I like looking around and being reminded of things that make me feel happy. I'm a hero collector, so all these characters have been a big part in movies where they save people but they don't stay around looking for a thank you. And I think they're quite a good role model in life as a chivalrous man to do things but just not look for praise, and they remind me of that. And then other things like the Christopher Reeve, they're a reminder of strength and perseverance, and in the face of adversity and disability, that okay, you're not at your best, but you're still valid and you're still a person and still still get on. Don't just sit here crying and whinging. And I love my dog. He's the best thing in this house. It could just be a cardboard box, but if he was here, he makes me smile and laugh every day. And I kiss him every day. I'm a single man and celibate. I haven't kissed anybody for 10 years, but he gets kisses every day. He gets told every day 100 times I love him. And there's love in my heart that there wouldn't be without this dog. There'd be absence of any kind of romance, but it's not romance, but you know what I mean, any kind of emotional affirmation. And he makes me giggle the way yesterday I was being filmed and he was moonwalking across the room while he was dry humping his toy, and I just, 7.5 years he still does crazy stuff like that. So I like the atmosphere in the house. I like the cool lighting so it's not stark or bright. I like when you're not around, there's like the sounds of waves playing or there's classical music. I like the feeling that this bubble I've created gives me of security and safety and excitement and thrills and a childlike kind of atmosphere about it with the sweets and the movies and the toys. It just stops me from turning into the old man I know I am turning into. Yeah, it kind of keeps me young. That's why I like it. And I love the garden as well, because I miss an actual garden, because the last place I had a big garden and a pond and stuff. And I've made do, and I've seen other people's flats and they still just have concrete and the rails. They have nothing on theirs, and it seems very cold, but at night time I can lay here and turn on the mood lighting and look out there and see life growing. And it's another thing that depends on me to live, like the fish and the dog and the plants. If I don't look after them, they're dying. So it's a part of sort of giving myself something to nurture, something to love. I like that. Especially in a concrete jungle like London, I want to have flowers and colour.
Yeah. Do you also sit in your balcony, or
Yeah,
is it
I
more
eat
for
meals
just looking at?
Yeah, I eat meals there. I sit out there and have breakfast there, and Chewie sits on the other seat, and I'll feed him some ham, and I'll eat my ham and eggs. And like the thunderstorm that came, I'll just stand out there and just watch the sky light up with lightning and see the rain pouring down. And for every plus there is of it being covered up, that you get to do that. There are some negatives that you have to physically water the garden to keep it alive, but I just even love having it. Very lucky for London to have. I paid a lot of money for a house like this in Muswell Hill, but had a balcony. It had a bit better view, it was sort of the landscape of London, but especially on a clear day, the clouds are fantastic. But I love my garden. And in the winter time, because I don't really feel the cold very much, I have that door open, so there's lovely cool air coming in when I'm trying to sleep. And I like the fact that I can walk through my bedroom and across the balcony and through my living room. And that's a good exercise route as well. I was going to do it on the actual diary form as well. You've been going around it for like half an hour, but my back was in horrific spasms, so I didn't do it. But that's a nice little exercise where I can walk around, stretch my leg, get the blood flowing, and I'm not out there vulnerable, falling in front of people and feeling defenceless. I can do things like exercise. exercise without having somebody stare at you in the gym and going, why isn't he lifting much, or why is he yelping, or this just adds to the security of what I get from this place. In my last place I had a garden, it was lovely, but there was constantly people leaning over the fence, and, with their children looking at the pond, and they would wiggle the fence and stuff, and all of the posts were snapped over 8 years. And I was just like, oh, tell your child to get off my fence. I love that you love my garden, I love that you come to see it and stuff, but why is it climbing up on my fence and breaking? No one ruins anything here. No one can get to me. So that feels pretty good.
Is that something that you like, living a bit higher up
No,
rather than ground
I
floor?
don't like living higher up at all because of the lifts. I do like the fact that it takes 3 key fob doors to get to my front door. No, nobody can knock on my door unless they're personally invited. And even if they are personally invited, they can't work out the lifts anyway, so I've got real security here. The only people that knock on my door used to is my neighbours, but I ignore them now and they know that I'm not going to answer.
In addition of the 3-door system, is there anything else that makes you feel safe at home?
I like that my car is underground behind a locked gate that requires a fob to get to. I saw a lot of vans being busted into for their tools in Tottenham Hale. One of my friends had his van busted into 3 times, and they took £16,000 worth of tools that even his grandfather had given him. Gone forever. My wheelchair access vehicle is a highly sought after commodity, and it's downstairs in a locked garage with its own private bay. That's really lucky to have in London.
Okay.
So that feels pretty good.
Yeah. Do you feel your balcony offers you privacy?
Yeah, well, I thought it did. And so I usually go out there first thing in the morning, watch the sun come up in my underpants, until Sam at number 6 went, oh, we love the flowers on your balcony. I went, how can you possibly see them? You live like at an angle. She went, no, we can see them. We can see the lights on the ceiling. I was like, oh my God. I goes, do you ever see me in the morning? She went, no, we don't get up until about 8. I was like, thank God. Okay, so stop that friend's ugly neighbour, naked ugly neighbour. I'm never going to stand on there butt naked now knowing that somebody can see. And so at night time when I want super privacy, when all clothes come off, that blind closes, so then nobody can walk on the roof and see me lying here in my pants or whatever. But it's pretty private.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if I'm sat down at the table eating, nobody really can see me. Yeah, well, it's not as private as I thought it was. Yeah. God, I don't do naked anymore.
And how do you feel your home is in terms of thermal comfort?
I haven't had the heating on once since I've lived here. I think it's heated up by other flats, so I don't need it. And I have a high internal thermostat because of chronic pain, so I'm usually quite hot all the time anyway. When I used to go to this bar, this one guy goes, oh, you're always in a vest showing off your muscles. I went, I'm in a vest because it's the least amount of clothing I can wear and still be decent. Because anything I put on top of me is just going to get soaking wet, and my hair's going to get soaking wet, and I'm going to look like I've just ran to the place, and I haven't, I'm just in pain. So I like the fact. Well, what I do miss is in my old house, and you can't do it until you've been here years, I had huge ceiling fans, like 8 feet across, like they looked like airplane propellers, and you could switch a button and they would blow, or you could switch another button and they would suck up. So they were brilliant for getting rid of smoke, if people were smoking in here, but they were great for pushing cold air on me. I miss that, because even with the door open, I get hot, too hot, so that's why I bought things like this neck fan, and I was stripped down to just boxer shorts. But yeah, I've got some fans that are coming that are bladeless that are going to be angled at me, 4 of them, so I can turn on some cool air if I really need it, because we had 42 degrees last year, but I was in the old house then, and I had ceiling fans, and if I opened my front door and my back door, my house turned into a wind tunnel, so it was a really lovely cool breeze. I don't seem to be able to achieve that here. If I open that balcony door and open that door, and I'm lying here, I feel a breeze, but it's still not enough to lower my body temperature.
Okay. And in terms of finishes, you mentioned that you think that this is kind of like a car park with walls.
Yeah, it is. The prefab walls.
What do you think of the other finishes of the house? The windows, the kitchen, the bathroom?
It's just badly insulated. Like, I'm sat here with the balcony door closed. Yeah, I can smell the person's barbecue 100 feet away in their back garden. I'm thinking, why should I be able to smell their food? Not that it's a problem, I love the smell of a barbecue, but it just shows that this isn't very well insulated. If you can smell other people's food, you can come out of the lifts and you can smell, oh, that person's making curry, that person's making garlic, that person's, and you're just going, that person next door, lovely lady Georgina from Nigeria, likes to make saltfish. And I don't know if you know what that's like, but that stuff stinks like, it's the worst smelling stuff ever. And she makes it 3 or 4 times a week. So the balcony door has to be closed where I'm sitting, it's kind of retching this really stinky fish. So It's not insulated well enough, and if you get smell through, you get sound through. So it just hasn't been sealed. Message.
And what do you think about the amount of space that you have?
It's twice as much as I had before. So that's why I'm very grateful. But it's still not ideal for somebody with a wheelchair. When I first came here, it was completely empty. So I was whizzing around here in my wheelchair going, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like twice the size of my old house. Then the furniture came and I was like, oh, okay. I have to be like some of my disabled friends where they have a chair for people who come and then they don't have a sofa like this. But they don't lie down. I've got disabled friends who can play basketball and can leap off a curb because they've got problems with their legs. Mine is my spine and compression, so I can't be playing basketball. I can't leap off the couch, so I can't just sit there all day long upright in a wheelchair. I need to lay down, so I need something big to lay down, and that immediately takes up a huge amount of space because I'm 6'1", so that reduces the space as well. So I'm lucky and I'm grateful, and I am. I just think it's a bit unfair that a terrorist can be given a £2.3 million house in Holland Park and a disabled veteran can't just get a home that he can move around in his wheelchair. It just seems there's a bit of disparity there.
Mm-hmm. Are there any particular rooms or areas of your house that you consider too small or that you would want more space in?
The bathroom. Yeah, they want you to always have a wet room when you're disabled, but they can be practical. You know, I definitely realised when the carers wouldn't empty the commode and stuff, I would drag myself to my wet room, covered in diarrhoea, lie on the floor, I'd be able to wash it away. Can't do that here. But I don't want a wet room again because I've really enjoyed for my back therapy the sort of sliding in a hot bath and soaking, and there's no active movements to get clean like you do in a shower. You know, you literally just soak there and just watch the kind of, you know, the dirt float off you, and then when I empty the bath I get the shower and just rinse off any suds. And I found that I get out of the bath now and I'm not sweating and I'm not exhausted, and it hasn't been a physical kind of rigmarole to do it. It's been enjoyable. But yeah, everywhere's too small. The bedroom, it's just a king-size bed. It's not exceptionally large, but you've seen there's just a corridor down by the side of it. And I did that on purpose so that if I'm in a really bad state, I can get out of my bed in my wheelchair and drive it to the bathroom or drive it on the balcony for some fresh air. But it isn't ideal. There's no wardrobe in there. There's a rail, which I really don't like, my clothes being out and exposed. And there's a quarter of the clothes that I had. There's not a room for a wardrobe. So the bedroom is actually smaller than the last place.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of storage, you mentioned that you don't have a wardrobe. Does the building offer any additional storage?
I believe they do for cycles, but they've already been stolen from there, some of them. The security guard told me, so I wouldn't store anything out of my house that I couldn't check within 5 seconds was still there, which doesn't make me feel very comfortable. I also miss not having all my Ring cameras. Like in my last house, there was Ring cameras around the whole building, so I could see people in my car, in my garden, everywhere, who was coming to my front door. There's not a Ring camera pointing at my car downstairs, so I can't look at it and go, oh, that's who scratched it, oh, that's who broke the window screen, because it got broke and it was downstairs, so somebody did something, but it cost me to get it fixed. But hopefully now with this new system that they've done, everybody has to register their vehicle, they've all got a permit, there'll be less people down there that shouldn't be even in the building, so hopefully that'll give us some assurance that our cars are safe. Okay. I wasn't completely sure that was the case at first. Hey, did you fall down? Did you fall down?
And you mentioned you feel safe in your flat. Do you feel safe in your neighbourhood?
Turn left? No. Turnpike Lane, Wood Green, horrific. My friend works in the pound shop there, and every single day he knows 6 people are going to come in and steal stuff, and there's nothing he can do about it because the manager says if it doesn't exceed £150, we can't call the police, and they know that. So they come in every day and they terrorise people and they get away with it. Up that way, Muswell Hill, where I used to live, people walk around reading books, they've got dog balls outside their shops, and they say, would you like a treat? It's just a much better way of representing yourself to the world. Usually people are earning more money, they're in stable families where there's both parents there, there's parks that are monitored and that are very clean. Wood Green, Turnpike Lane, they are rough because they aren't just maintained by the council or by the people that live there, regardless of race, colour or creed, because I know that that's not specific.
And for example, the communal areas, what do you think of those in the shared
Lovely.
garden?
They've done some nice stuff landscaping-wise, but people have already started digging up the plants and taking them. Yeah. Oh, there's some lovely ponds and waterfalls down there, so they'll throw their cans in there, or their cigarette butts in there and go, do you not think that's a beautiful thing to have in there, in the middle of a council road? They've done these waterfalls and these ponds and stuff, and you just flick your cigarette butt in there, and you just think, what's the point? Then you go downstairs into the bin area for the recycling. Every single week someone will put a black bin bag in the recycling, so the recycling doesn't get taken out, it has to get sorted out. And above it there's two massive pictures, so you don't have to say language as a barrier, saying no black bin bags.
And how do you feel that your home impacts your well-being and health?
My anxiety goes through the roof when both lifts aren't working at Christmas for 4 days and I can't get out of the building. When I was told if there's a fire, I'm expected as the only person in a wheelchair to stay in the building. And I went, do you think that goes against everything I as a human being think, that when a building's on fire I'm not going to get out of it? There are sprinklers. Really? You think that's going to help? I will be abseiling over that balcony with a papoose, with my puppy, my passport and my credit card in it and getting out of this building. That was horrible. I wasn't warned of that before I came. Because everybody else would be walking down the stairs and getting out. Yeah, it threw me up my anxiety through the roof. And the noise as well. Every banging, none of these doors except for my doors have these brushes on them, so everybody on this floor slams. And I sit here I find the noise a real problem. And then when I went down the end of the road and I saw how they're being constructed, I went, this is a car park. You've seen it yourselves as architects. If you go down the road, you'll see this in its infancy, these buildings, and they are literally concrete car parks with no kind of brick or anything around the outside. It's all prefab, all these placed in windows.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
If anybody that's noise sensitive, I would think, and it's not just veterans with PTSD. Everybody can be triggered for some reason, maybe for a bad child or whatever it is, but it's not ideal.
And what do you think is something unique about your home?
The way I decorate it. I go to lots of people's houses and they've just got magnolia walls and simple furniture and no memorabilia and nothing particularly colourful. They've got white lights, which I find really unkind at the age of 53. I'm like, no, I need some dim lighting. I like that my house is, anybody that comes around, even the Waitrose man, goes, your house is really unique, man. Like, I like people kind of liking that it's got something to look at every time you come around and you'll see something different. There's a lot of things to feast the eyes with. That's what I like about it. I like its comfort. Although this chair is terrible. It's too low, which my legs are up that way and they should be horizontal, but I think it was a really good deal when I got it. But it isn't ideal, but I like its privacy. I like its I like how close it is to really nice areas, like Muswell Hill. You know, I can go up there on the bus, it takes 5 minutes and I'm in a really lovely area, or I can just go down that way and I'm in Crouch End and it's a really lovely area where I'll feel very safe. So I like its proximity to nicer areas than this, but this is still Ali Pali. It's a nice area.
Yeah.
Just you go out this road and turn left. Not so nice.
And what do you think about open plan living?
I like sometimes creating a division, which I've done with the kitchen. There's a false division. If you're still cooking haddock in there, you'll smell it in here. But I wanted there to be like designated areas for a certain thing, so I kind of wanted a bit of a block there. So I've done that, but it's a false barrier really. You can see through it. So, but I love the idea of open plan. The last place I had was a galley kitchen, so it was very, very narrow. It was almost the size of a toilet. I didn't like it so much. My favourite ever, if I could have afforded it, and I wish I'd invested when I first came to London, was a warehouse in Hackney. And the guy had a shower and it was just glass cubes in the middle of a room. So you stepped into this glass cube and it was your shower. So there was no designated bathroom, and then there was the bedroom in the corner somewhere, and it was just all a massive warehouse. And I was like, this is perfect for a person with a wheelchair. Yeah, I would have loved that. A warehouse would be my absolute dream. But this is still better than the last place. But it's not as good as any of the places I've had when I've actually had money to buy my own place. The penthouse in Muswell Hill would have been better for a wheelchair than this. But it was £2,400 a month. Okay. I can't afford that anymore.
Do you feel your home is affordable now?
The housing benefit is capped. So they only give you a maximum of £370 So I'm short £300 every single month for rent, so it has to come out of my pension, which is annoying because I found out from other tenants their rent is completely covered. So yeah, it's a little bit annoying. So it's not.
So it's not affordable.
Not affordable. In fact, my road trip was cancelled because I've just spent £600 paying off the bill, and there's another £1,000 left, and they've sent me an eviction notice. They said not to worry about it. It's a standard procedure for somebody behind. But I also found out that L&Q work 1 month in advance, and housing benefit work 1 month in arrears. So the payments are always going to be behind. So I'm sacrificing my whole pension next month to pay it off to get to 0-0. So regardless of the veterans people saying, oh no, we're going to get in touch with the DWP and we'll write a letter to L&Q and they should accept this and this is the way it is, and going, you know what, I don't need the freaking hassle, let me just get it paid off, and then I'm at 0-0-0, and then when I complain that the lifts aren't working, they're not going to say, go away, you're not paying your rent. I'm going to go, look, I'm square, and in fact, I'm probably, as everybody else is on social housing, I'm better because I've paid off the arrears that you demand that housing benefits say you don't have to have. So no, it's not complete. But I don't go out drinking. I don't smoke marijuana anymore. So I have a disposable income to be able to cover this. And there's a bit of me from self-pride that kind of goes, I'm paying towards my house. It's not completely being given to me. And that feels a bit fair.
And other than the lift, have you had any other problems with maintenance?
Yeah, the intercom didn't work for the first 13 weeks, and I called every single day, so no carers could come in because they couldn't even press the button and call. And if they'd call me on the phone, then I've got to go down and get them, and that defeats the purpose of the carer coming up and getting me out of bed. So after 7 weeks of complaining, I managed to get a key safe installed downstairs by the front door. So if my carers come, I don't like doing this though, they have a combination and they have the keys to my house and they come on in. And the postcode wasn't registered, so no mail got here, we couldn't order food, and I'm dependent on things being delivered to the house. So now it's sorted. I had to send in the email address to Google Maps. I sent them photos and stuff so they could update Google Maps, so that when companies who are delivering, they'd be able to find our address. I sent off details to the post office. It took 5 months for the post office to react, but up until then, no bills were coming through. It was just badly organised. It was finished in August and handed over in November, but they hadn't done any of the background work to make sure that the building even existed. Or the road was brand new, named after a mayor that died 7 years ago. And also the address is wrong. 10 Mary Noonan Road is right down the end of this road. It has no relevance at all to this building. So my GPS says, you have arrived at your destination. I'm going, no, there's another 200 metres before I get to my house. So even though the address is just poorly done. I initially gave people the address of that building because it's been there a long time. So I would say, come to N80DJ, it's the Virgin building, and I'm next to it. It wasn't ideal. But I was told by somebody who maintained these buildings that they're cheap and they're put up really quick and they're just not organised properly. Everybody's boilers went wrong because the valve was taken out after manufacture and replaced with a rubber valve. So all our heating went off, all our water went off. And rather than being proactive and going, oh, we had a problem with these boilers and we know they're going to go wrong, you have to wait to, Eon would wait for you to call them, then send an engineer out and then fix it. And I said to him, well, while you're here, why don't you knock on all the other 19 doors and replace those? Then you don't have to worry about ever getting any more call outs or the repeated calls to L&Q. And he's like, no, that's not how we work. And I was like, it should be. We should be proactive, not reactive. Yeah. That was kind of annoying. So yeah, the water kept going off and freezing cold, and happened at Christmas as well. I was like, this is great. No lift, can't get out of the building and can't shower. Thank you, L&Q.
Sounds like a horrible Christmas present.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Luckily, my ninja managed to cook the turkey perfectly.
And has the last 4 days with the tracker changed in any ways how you view your home?
No, I always was, if I'm going to the kitchen, I know it's going to take effort to do because I can't take it with a chair. So I'm going to be doing more than one thing at the same time and go, well, if you're going to make a cuppa, what else do you need? Get a packet of crisps for later on, get a couple of biscuits for later on, maybe even make the sandwich and put it in the fridge so it's done. And it just made me more aware of that's how I work, and that's how I'd already programmed myself by going, looking at the diary and going, gosh, I don't look like I've moved around much at all today. But I had done stuff, but just all in one go. I was aware more than ever before that I don't get around as much as I'd like to in the chair. It would be nice if it was the chair. I would be going, I'd probably have more drinks. You'll probably see on the diary I might go to the toilet just twice a day. And I'd have a bath maybe once every other day. like in the old days, I used to have a shower in the morning, shower at night. If I was going out, have a shower before I went out. If I came back from a club, have another shower. I'd be like 4 showers in one day. Also 4 pairs of pants to wash. I don't do that anymore.
And a bit of, to wrap up, what do you define as a decent home standard?
Somewhere where you can feel comfortable, able to move around with ease, safe, secure, I would think. And it sums it up for me.
Is that what you, are those the aspects that you also associate with housing quality?
Yeah, that I'd like to be able to move around it easily, that I wouldn't get hurt doing it, that there's this added security, especially in London, that no one's going to be able to break in, and that it's a pleasant environment, you know, like I'm not being pestered by noise or smells or anything else that I don't want around me. And this ticks a few of those boxes. Security, most certainly. Although when the front door and the middle door were left open for ages, I went, look, you have got to sort this out, L&Q. This is a big selling point for this block of flats. My mail is downstairs. If the front door's open, anybody can come and steal our mail, and other houses have reported that to you. You need to fix the front door. The middle door needs fixing, because if you get there, you can't get into this anywhere else, but all those 6 flats at the bottom have lost all their security then, because nobody needs any fobs to get to the front door. So I'm speaking on behalf of my friend Ali at number 1 and Sarah at number 2. They are really concerned. Can you sort this out? And they did very, very quickly. So yeah, the security was a big thing for me. I love the fact that no one can knock on my door or put posts through my door that I don't want. Or neighbours, like in the old place, going, you know, knocking on the door and you think, oh God, not her again. And the ring camera's picked up and you go, yes, what can you do? Mum, can you come out, Michael? I'm going, you know I'm in a chair. Why would you say that? Why don't you call? Why don't you text? And you open it and go, have you got any back? Can I borrow a pair of scissors? Have you got any money on your Oyster card? I've got some Amazon coming later on. Do you mind signing for it for me? And the kitchen is 4 times the size of the old place. And when I'm sat in the office chair, I really feel like I can enjoy cooking and be in there for a good hour and make some nice food rather than just going, you know, what ready meal can I cook or what sandwich can I make? I can spend ages making a curry or a bolognese. So I like that. I get to spend more time in a place that I enjoy, which I do, which is the kitchen. Haven't done any art since I've been here, which is really strange to me. I paint, I draw, I sculpt, I make movie props. Haven't done any of that yet, but the balcony's clearer now, so I can easily go up in there and I can do some painting in there. So I think I will be able to do more with it than I have done. I was just consumed by what was wrong with it and not taking note of what was right with it. And now that my therapy is gone, there will always be noise. Just think about it differently. You know, breathe, decompress, know that that banging will last 30 seconds, not, you know, the whole day. Everything's just temporary. I think thinking about things in a different way has made me enjoy it a lot more. Because I also realise part of my mental health is if I was in a cave on my own, but water is dripping down the wall, I'd be annoyed by the water dripping down the wall. And I think there is no way to make you happy. It's something ingrained in your head, is how hypersensitive you are to sound. So this was never going to be ideal, but I'm not rich enough to have a detached house in the middle of the country on my own. But even then, with the hooting of an owl or the creaking of wooden floorboards kind of make me go, Aah! So I've just got to find a place in my head where I can reach some sort of stability with how negatively I'm affected by outside stimulus.
We've come to the end of our questions. Now that you know what it was about, is there anything you would like to add, or that we didn't give you the chance to say about your home?
I don't know if you could say it, but I would just love it if it was a lot more intrinsic in society, that what you've collected and how houses are worked on would affect someone like whoever built these buildings. I don't even know if they'd care, because they certainly don't care when people are already in them, how they use them and how they're maintained. But with the information I've given you, it would be ideal for me if someone is designing a building and they're having a disabled flat, then put a disabled person in a chair in there, let them use the space, and then listen to them and also give them a chance to take it in. I was so overwhelmed at moving, I was just grateful. But then I got in here and went, I can't reach the blinds, I can't look into the mirrors and stuff. But if people really listened, then I wouldn't be making do. I wouldn't be making all these adjustments to make it livable. I'd be able to be like some of my friends who are very lucky. I've got a friend called Lisa who's got cerebral palsy, who's in a house twice this size. And it's not about size, not about property size. but she moves around in her wheelchair with such ease, you know, for every single room, that nothing is limited for her. And I was just like, oh, I wish I had that. So I would love if what you're doing actually made a massive difference to how people who build buildings made them look and made them work. But I think a lot of people, it's just about the money and what they can make from it. Especially I saw that in the across the way from Tottenham Hale, there was a very small space, I don't know, maybe 100 metres by 50 metres. We were like, what are they going to use it for? They should just put a Christmas tree in there. They put a 39-storey building there during COVID when everybody couldn't even leave their houses, but they got to listen to this building going up there. And I've heard from everybody there that there is no garden. The communal areas is used as the dog toilets and no one likes to do it. The noise is absolutely horrific. The people behind who moved there 10 years before get no sunlight now because it's completely south-facing and blocked it. You're just going, you don't care really about the residents. You just care about the money you're going to make from that building. Like, and the whole world is run on money, but it just seems a bit unfair that you rely on those people to give you the money, but you don't care enough to make sure that it works for them as best as it could, which I'm hoping, and I'd love to see this from your outcomes, that other countries do like Sweden or Switzerland and Japan or China, that I think they're a lot more ergonomic with their design. You know, they want to make sure that it works for people. I certainly know from being in Germany that a lot of single-storey houses, a lot of underground stuff in the cellars for storage, endless storage downstairs, so your house isn't cluttered with stuff. Room for gardens, room for saunas. Just people are living a higher standard of life just because of design. And there's no reason why that this can't be like that. You know, something that's, it's not simple design. What you do, architecture is complex, artistic and incredible, but I think neglected in this country just for cost, and that's a real shame. Because we could all be living a lot more comfortable lives if people just kind of listened to the designers, maybe spent a little bit more money and just and got it right.